Dana White has been booted out of boxing. He is no longer the promoter for Canelo versus Crawford. And thank God for that. Look, I know people are going to say, oh no, he's only not the promoter for that fight because it's on the same day as one of the UFC pay-per-views. I forgot what one it was. But yeah, so that's not going to happen now. Dana White is no longer the promoter for Canelo Crawford in September. So yeah, good. And overall, if I'm being honest, though, I think he's been booted out of boxing, and I don't think that the whole partnership with Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh is actually going to go ahead and last, to be honest with you. I can't see it. I can't see a world where Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White actually get their thing to work. And this was a big thing for Dana White promoting Canelo and Crawford. It was. But now that is off, does that kind of burn some bridges here? And does it in a way derail everything that was going on between Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White, trying to get the whole boxing league going? And I really do think it does. I feel like it derails it massively. Focus on your own brand. Focus on the UFC. Dana White, he's all over the place right now. You know, he's not focusing on the UFC as much. He's not really giving us the fights that we want in the UFC. Aspinall Jones, you know, and Ilya versus Makhachev now not happening. You know, we're not seeing fights that we want anymore. And I feel like the cards that he's doing, it's more quantity over quality for Dana White now. So he needs to just focus on the UFC and make that better than what that is, instead of wasting a load of fight night cards. That's what Dana White needs to bloody sort out now. But he's got Powers up in there as well. No, just focus on the UFC. While Turki Al-Sheikh and actual promoters can really sort out, you know, Canelo Crawford. But it looks like, you know, the Saudi company Stella or something like that, they're now going to be promoting Canelo and Crawford. So it's still looking like there's no real actual promoter going to be involved in this, which I think is disrespectful to quite a few of them with what they have done for the sport over the years. But again, Turki Al-Sheikh is putting these fights together, and that is the most important thing. And for Turki Al-Sheikh in boxing nowadays, it is quality over quantity, and that's what we're getting with Turki Al-Sheikh, and that is important. And I think if Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh's boxing league goes ahead, then I feel like it could be back to quantity over quality, and that's something that I don't want to see. It's always got to be quality over quantity at the end of the day. And with Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh, we're not going to get quality. Fighters aren't going to be getting paid what they want. This is getting hyped up to be a big thing. We've seen the pay. We've seen the pay for all of it. It's not going to work. And I feel like this massively derails something between Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh by Dana White no longer being involved in Canelo and Crawford. And I really do think that the whole boxing league with Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh is going to get started to be, you know, really pushed aside now and pushed away from boxing, because there's no point having a UFC MMA aspect in boxing with how they do things. The pay isn't good enough. You're not going to be able to get in the big names anyway. It's just going to be a failure, and it's going to look bad on boxing. And I basically do think that now Canelo and Crawford don't have Dana White as the promoter for the fight. I feel like Dana White's being booted out of boxing, and I really don't think there's an actual space in boxing for Dana White. There's no need for him to be around this whole thing, in my opinion. There's no need for him to be around boxing. And I do think that this could be a final straw for Dana White, to be completely honest with you already, the fact that he's away from Canelo and Crawford. And it's not for any extreme reason. It's not that apparently Turki Al-Sheikh really doesn't want him. But I do think Dana White could have massively worked around the UFC in September and the Canelo Crawford card. I feel like there's possibly much more to it than what we've been told. And yeah, I really do. I feel like there could be more to it. And I think that Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh's league, I think they've seen the backlash to it. And it's now no longer going to bloody happen. It's no longer going to happen. So I think Dana White has been booted out of boxing by Turki Al-Sheikh, and he doesn't think this is going to work. And there's many other things to be focused on instead of this league. There's many things, other things that Turki Al-Sheikh should be focused on boxing-wise, instead of all this nonsense going on with Dana White, where they've seemed to got absolutely everything wrong with it. It's not going to be able to attract boxers. Boxing is boxing, MMA is MMA. Keep the aspects and everything to their own sports. That's what's got to happen here. Instead of Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White wanting to bring something over to boxing, which boxing is not. So, and I do think this has been realized. I really do think it's been realized. And now Dana White is not part of Canelo and Crawford. I don't really think we're going to see much to do with Dana White for a while in boxing. I really don't. I'm confident that we're not really going to see much with Dana White now. It doesn't really seem like anything with Turki Al-Sheikh and Dana White's league is really bloody fully getting started right now anyway. It doesn't really seem like anything's getting started. I feel like the whole thing was possibly derailed before the whole Canelo and Crawford thing, where Dana White was first placed as the promoter and Turki Al-Sheikh wanted him to be involved somewhat. We're not really hearing much about this boxing league, and bloody thank God for that, because there's no point in it. It makes no sense. It does nothing for the sport overall, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm glad that Dana White's no longer the promoter for Canelo Crawford, because it makes him have less than to say. Canelo versus Terence Crawford is one of the biggest ever fights in boxing, possibly one of the biggest fights of the decade, possibly one of the biggest fights of the century in boxing. And if Dana White was a part of that and was the promoter for that, imagine the bragging rights that he would have had. Imagine that. But now Dana White doesn't have those bragging rights in boxing because he's no longer promoting that fight. So I feel like this has done boxing justice, and I feel like it's done a lot of us boxing fans and a lot of boxers and a lot of everyone involved in boxing, other promoters. I feel like it's done us a lot of people a good lot of justice, to be honest with you. So yeah, it's done the boxing world justice, Dana White not being involved in this. So I'm glad. For whatever happens, there might be more to it. I think there might be. But yeah, there we go. Thank you for watching.